Your Royal Highnesses, Ministers of State, Your Excellencies, Lords, Ladies and Gentlemen, and of course Lord Grantham from Downton Abbey, can I begin by giving you the warmest of welcomes to our annual British Asian Trust dinner. What's actually becoming quite special about this dinner is it's starting to feel like a reunion. When we looked down the list a week ago, some 60% of you have been here on more than 3 or 4 occasions. So there's a real warmth to tonight, and from the bottom of our hearts, we thank you for giving up the time. It feels like only yesterday that we were at the Natural History Museum, and here we are in the spectacular surrounds of the Guildhall, thanks again to the generosity of so many of you. I do have to pick out a few. Kuljinder Bayer, the ever-generous head of Southall Travel, thank you very much. There's quite a few, actually, so it's quite a few, so maybe we'll save the applause to the end. Ada Poonawalla, who's flown all the way here from Bombay, the RWS Group, and the Goyal family, thank you very much for your sponsorship this evening. And I mustn't forget the 40 of you who've so generously purchased tables this evening. So I think you all deserve a very hearty round of applause. It may feel a little bit repetitive when I stand here year after year, excited by the progress that we've made. But even by our standards, I have to say 2016 has been an extraordinary and transformational year in the life of the British Asian Trust. It's been a year when I think we've achieved one of our key goals of finally being able to say we are the most trusted charity partner in South Asia. The most trusted charity partner for the 31 organizations that we support across India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka and Bangladesh. The most trusted partner for many of our core supporters, people like Tom Singh, Zamir Chowdhury, Nikhil Hidaramani, Neeraj Kanwar, Arif Naqvi, Simon Arora, Chris Nonis, people that have been with us on that journey since 2009, 2010. And indeed, many of that group, including Mohammed Amersi, spent 2 days with His Royal Highness up in Scotland discussing the development and future strategy for the Trust. We've also continued to be a trusted partner for so many of our friends and patrons, many of whom are here tonight. We've had more fundraising events than ever before. Our first fashion show, Rise on the Runway, an event at BT Tower with Asif Ansari, an Elbrook Gala dinner with Frank Khalid, our first ever BAT North Ball organised by our extraordinary Manchester chapter. Mustn't forget the Rajasthan bike ride by Rohit Chadha, and also the Diwali dinner generously hosted by Vinay and Bikku Patel. We also became a trusted partner for other members of the royal family. We were privileged to host the opening dinner for the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge's India tour, where we assembled stars from Bollywood, sport, music and fashion to raise an extraordinarily important set of funds for our work with children. And what was even more exciting was the fact that they were able to visit some of our work as they completed their India tour. We continued to be a trusted partner for the Muslim community, launching our first ever Ramadan appeal, helped greatly by the first ever British Asian Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan. And we also continued to be a trusted partner for the corporates that have been with us for much of our journey. Companies like BT, Leica Mobile, Rabobank, John Lewis, and of course Standard Chartered. But perhaps most significantly in 2016, we became a trusted partner for the UK government. The Department of International Aid agreed to match fund our first ever public appeal, in which we raised a staggering £3.5 million. So with the help of DFID, we were able to double that number to change the lives of girls across South Asia. The result has been that our organisation, in terms of funds raised, has tripled this year, which actually means we've increased our impact 6 times, because as many of you know, our model means that it's not just the funds that we deploy, we unlock other funds for other organisations. But these are really just numbers. What brings meaning to our work are the individual stories, some of which you're going to hear tonight. And as you hear those 2 inspirational and uplifting stories, just bear in mind that because of you, we actually change the lives of hundreds of thousands of young people, women across South Asia on a monthly and quarterly basis. Indeed, the most uplifting part of what we do are our trips to the region. Last year on our trips, it was incredibly uplifting to meet the primary school children whose education we seek to improve. Some 90% of children in India and Pakistan and Sri Lanka and Bangladesh have access to primary school education, but 60% leave unable to read, write, or count. It's uplifting to meet the women for whom we provide genuine economic empowerment. It's still a travesty that in the region of over 1.5 billion people, only a third of the women have any source of independent income. And it's uplifting to travel to the rural areas and see the lives that we're transforming with the provision of livelihoods. We still have 200 million people in India alone living on less than $1.25 a day in the rural areas, many of whom are smallholder farmers. And it was actually His Royal Highness who was first to highlight that plight on his trip in 2007. And from a personal perspective, it's uplifting to see the work that we do protecting the 30 million South Asians who still suffer some form of violence, abuse, or trafficking. And a third of those are children. And the funds we raised 2 years ago have made a huge difference. So what next for our extraordinary organization? We're going to continue next year to be at the cutting edge of impact in South Asia. We're going to continue seeking out scale solutions, because it's not enough to have impact in South Asia. As I said before, we've got to have impact at scale, and technology can play a huge role, particularly smartphones. We're also, on a lighter note, going to start making plans for our 10th year anniversary and our 10th year celebrations. And while we can't promise another gala dinner next year, what we do promise is an extravaganza at the Royal Albert Hall. So watch this space and book early. The commitment of our trustees remains stronger than ever. Salman, Chris, Faiza, Sunny, Shalini, Faiza, and of course Nihal and Asif, thank you for all the time you give. The capability of our management team is stronger than ever, led by Richard Hawkes, supported by the now married Hitan Mehta and the incredible Abha Thorat Shah. But I think we all know that the most impressive motivator of our work is our founder and president, who created the organization back in 2008. Not a week passes without some form of note, email, or inquiry about an issue in the region or an issue with our diaspora. His Royal Highness cares so passionately about the region, and on behalf of the 3.5 million lives that we've touched since inception, I think we should put our hands together and thank him from the bottom of our hearts. At a time when some global leaders think it's acceptable to define entry to a country on the basis of religion, your leadership for the diaspora and your support in the region is as important as it has ever been. So one last time, I'd ask you to put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen, for our founder, our president, His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales.